So basically, what Scott was saying is that he liked the conversation we were having and he wants to get it on camera. That's what that was, right?
Because it's intellectual and it makes sense.
Yeah.
You're talking about the work ethic and what kind of mindset you have to excel here.
Because, all right, so this is what I know about you, right? And I don't want to use other people's names as an example. I don't want to throw any dirt on other people's name. But out of all the people I've seen here, and I'm sure Scott will agree, you're the person that I was like, oh, if this guy was anywhere, you're going to make it anywhere. I think you'll be successful anywhere.
Thanks, bro.
Because you show up and, like, it doesn't make a difference. Like, what happened last night makes no difference on what happens today, right?
Exactly.
So, like, when people tell me, when I call people, I'm like, hey, what's up? You're supposed to be there. And anybody who knows me will say, oh, well, last night I did that. Only thing, it's like dogs meowing to me. It doesn't make sense. Why are you talking to me about last night today?
Yeah.
And so what I was talking about was like how it doesn't take any, and this is like Gary Vee, somebody that I follow.
This is how the conversation feels like it's going.
Yeah.
Like Gary Vee.
Like I haven't, like it doesn't take any education to show up on time, to work hard, to do what you say, and to be a team player. You know, it doesn't take a lot of education to be a team player. To be like,
I know what you mean.
So like a lot of times, like when I was working for some startups, and I really felt like intellectually, like I was the only guy who didn't go to Stanford in a room, right? And so everybody's like, you know, this Stanford master's degrees and, you know, business science and engineers and all of this stuff. And I'm like a business guy, went to a little small college. And I always said like this, I bet you I can help them with something. And then after a while, helping and adding on to it and just working hard, all of a sudden I was a fixer. All of a sudden they're like, hey, did we do this? You know what, I'll take care of it, I'll fix it. So I started, like all the loose edges, all the raggedy stuff, I fixed. And then I just started managing those projects, those little raggedy projects. And so that's kind of the thing that I was referring to here. Oh, right here, fine. Thank you, Mel. That was the kind of thing I was referring to with you.
Well, that's kind of how my life went though, because like when I finished my bachelor's degree, and then I was like, you know what, like, I don't think I need to study anymore. I think I need to work because I'm good at working. I'm able to, you know, work really hard and stuff.
Yeah.
So for 6 years, I didn't study after that. For now, I'm doing my MBA because now I understood that my degree is necessary because it's not about the degree basically, it's about the knowledge that you get in your master's degree that I need to implement in the businesses that I'm doing now.
Okay.
So basically, like when I stopped my degree, I was like, no, I don't want to study again, I just want to finish work. And I was excelling in my work really well. But there are these few things now that if I want to become a CEO of a company, if I want to open a new branch of company, if I want to handle a management, I have to understand and educate myself. So for example, now I'm studying in this college here in UB City, and my purpose is just to educate myself. And you know, because of trying to educate myself, I scored 97% in my exams. And even the American school came down here to UB City and they offered me 50% scholarship to study in America for the next 1 year, which I rejected because I feel there's a lot of potential here more than in America.
Well, yeah. So I'm going to tell you my impression of UB from what I have here, and I think we're going to agree. And I'm going to share with you one of my ideals, and I'll go very surface on camera, but off camera I'll go deep into it. But first of all, America should offer you 100% scholarship.
Okay.
Because like I always feel like this: if somebody wants me, they're gonna offer me everything to get me there. You know, so that's it. But I think what I see here is that you know, the four basic assets to being a good teammate is like working hard, closing your mouth more than you open your mouth, and all of those things. That's what I learned when I played team sports. That's what I learned as a coach. You know, so as a martial arts coach, when I'm coaching people, sometimes I just have to shut up and let them tell me how to help them. Sometimes they're like, how do you feel there? And they just tell me everything that they feel, and then I can fix how they're feeling because somebody will tell you what's wrong. And then I always apply that with everything I do. I always apply that with business. With putting this project together, I literally started the project. I started this project when I got on the airplane last time I left here. So last time you see me, I got on the airplane. I got on a Mongolian Airlines going to Beijing, and I started jotting out what could I do, what could I show of Ulan Bator. Actually, honestly, what can I show my audience and my type of person? Because my type of person doesn't necessarily, even though I'm a traveler, the average African American in the United States isn't traveling as much as I do. And a lot of times you have these fears of like, I'm not going to see people I can relate to. I'm not going to see people that relate to me. I'm not going to see people who are going to be nice to me. I'm not going to love the food. I'm not going to, the city's going to be too hard to navigate. Some things are true. The city's pretty hard to navigate if you don't understand, right? Like, it would probably be a really major challenge if I didn't have people here to go from the airport to just where you're staying. But then, once you get here, you can almost autopilot. You're going to meet some people and do some stuff.
Well, here in Mongolia, there's a big problem. If you're talking about, it's not about the education. Here, the people intend to give up a lot. Like, that's the difference between me and many Mongolians I have seen. Like, for example, if you pressurize them, they just intend to leave. They disappear. Like, most of them do that.
So if it's just too hard of work,
they just disappear for like 2-3 days, and then they come back after 2-3 days. They give reasons. It's always usually like that here in UB City. So that's why people like, search for people like me, or search for people like who are go-getters, who are ready to complete tasks at given timing, who are ready to, not give reasons. And there are very few people like that here in this country. And this country needs to learn from us.
Yeah.
They need to understand that, this is what they should be doing also. I've seen many people who are go-getters here, but most of them are not. They're just like, all right, no, it's too much of a burden for me, and they intend to just,
So like one of the biggest things, it goes from so me, everything has to start from a physicality point for me personally, right? So I started doing something that's like, I'm going to do 500 push-ups a day. Why? Because it hurts. I also do 500 squats every other day. Why? Because it hurts. I picked a big number, right? Just because it hurts. I'm a big guy. 500 push-ups hurts my shoulders. I just had to push through something, do uncomfort, because I felt too comfortable in what I was doing.
You mean basically you want to go out of your safe zone?
I have to.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to be able to go out of my safe zone with doing stuff like I'm doing now. And also, like, our podcast got better after I did that. My mentality got better. I got out of the safe zone because I had to, but everything starts with physicality for me. I had to be in physical discomfort for me to understand that this physical discomfort that I'm in, started this for me. And I think, honestly, when I hear stories like that, like, it's kind of hard for people to do this or do that, I start thinking, okay, well, it's not so much laziness as it is understanding that nothing is comfortable. Like, I hear a lot of people everywhere say, well, it's just, I wouldn't like to be in that situation. Well, I mean, newsflash, I've never been in a situation that I really wanted to be in. It's always been like, I have to work my ass off to get to the next spot. And so I kind of think that if someone has that attitude, that grinder attitude here, that, like I said this morning, I said, there should be more millionaires made in Mongolia than any other place in Asia. Because I just see stuff, possibility just opening my eyes, right?
Right, Mongolia is a really huge country. There's a lot of potential in this country.
And there's not a lot of people here.
There's very less people here.
Yeah, like 3.47 million people in an area that, when I look at it, just my estimate is that it's the size of half of the United States.
And the thing is, like, even Mongolia has a lot to offer in terms of. So, if I'm not wrong, the government of Mongolia gives 700 square meters per person. Am I right? Free land. For every Mongolian, they're allowed to take 700 square meters per person. That's around 1,400 square feet.
Yeah.
Free.
Yeah.
The government gives it to them, just like, hey, take this, open a farm, get your own house.
Do something. Right.
But you see literally all the Mongolians taking that land, ending up giving it to Chinese people, and they end up doing all
selling it.
No, they can't sell the land because according to law, you can lease the land, but you can't sell the land according to law.
Oh, okay. So it's like
you can buy a property here.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy an apartment, but you can't own a property.
But you can't own the land. So now I understand. So, like, most countries in the world, like, United States is very rare. Like, if you go to the United States, you can buy a house in the United States, you can buy land there.
Yeah, you can.
Most countries, though, you cannot buy land. You can actually, you can like I never look for houses when I go to a place. I always look at
apartments.
Yes, because you can't buy it.
The thing about it here is, because if they gave opportunity to foreigners to do that, I think by now China would have bought half the land of full Mongolia by now easily.
And I don't blame Mongolia for doing that. I think it's a smart thing.
It is a smart
very
move,
intelligent
and
thing.
you can own an apartment on your name, but you
Yeah.
can't own land. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
It helps the expats to understand, what to do, what not to do. If you go to countryside, you can lease land from Mongolians and do any businesses, but you'll have a contract of 5 or 10 years. So what they do is, even Mongolians nowadays, they just have big ass lands and they give it to mining companies and they lease it for 10-15 years. In the 10-15 years, like, mining companies take out as much as money as they need from China and they enjoy. That's what I'm saying. Mongolia has a lot to learn because they just got the independence in 1990.
That was
It's like
something-
20 years.
That was the thing we were talking about.
Yeah. So 20 years, they just got the
Yeah.
independence. You can't expect a lot from them also.
Yeah.
They're also in a learning stage because from nomadic culture to become into a culture where they have to catch up with more than 50-60 years of technology they have to catch up with. They have to catch up with a lot of things that is yet to be understood.
It's not like during pre-90s they were part of a westernized country where
They were not.
They're part of the Soviet
Well,
Union.
you're
Yeah.
sitting right now in a third world country, but still they're giving you all the comfort and the facilities
Well,
that a first world gives you.
Well, this is something that I find interesting. So when I first came to Mongolia, I thought it was a third world country, but just according to standards, it's a second world country. So that's really, and so like when I came here, I had never came here. When I got off the airplane, I was like, oh, okay. There's certain things I can see why it's not a westernized, or what we call a westernized democracy, or whatever. I hate that, but when I say first world country, what I think about, number one, is infrastructure that just connects, infrastructure that makes it easy to do business. Like yesterday, we went to the countryside, and it took us about 4.5 hours to get there, 4.5 hours to get back. Right, the ride should have took about 2 hours, but the road conditions just slow you down.
See, that's the problem. Mongolia is what's happened is it's a huge country, right? And it's
Yeah.
only 3 million population, right?
Right.
And just for one person to connect to another city is around 1,500, 2,000 kilometers away.
Right.
So just for those few 100, 200 or maybe 500 people, they have to make such a long road. Do you understand? So government has to invest a lot of money to go to a province that has zero value for the country's economy. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See, right now Mongolia in UB City, as far as I know, UB City is the one that's earning the money, and there is one more place which is where's the coal mining.
We're the mine in the south, right?
So the mining of coal and Irdinit Corporation and Oyantolgo, these are the people that are actually giving most of the economy the boost and the raise in money. Here in UB City you can find a little bit, but everybody who lives in the city gets all the comfort. You go a little outside the city, the more further you go away from the city, the more discomfort you get.
That's what I noticed. Like
That's the problem.
as we were leaving, and how you alleviate that is it has to be infrastructure. So what the country has to do is not make the infrastructure investment based on money. You have to make the infrastructure investment based on just people, and that's what the United States did. So the United States had an infrastructure program where we built interstate highways, and everybody said, no, this is too big. Only place that makes money is this place and this place and this place, and these are all connected already, but connecting to all the places in the center that don't really have industry, that maybe just do farming or things that are just not as valuable to the world. And we had to say, no, everyone has to be connected, just for the fact of connectivity. We had to go back and do the same thing with broadband, make sure that everyone had broadband in the country. It's a huge investment, but then that's because what every country has to understand is that the next great ideal is not going to come from the heart of the city. The next great ideal is going to come from somebody who walks in from the countryside and says, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this here? Because they're not used to it, you know? Just like I come down, I sit down, I have 35 ideas automatically. How things can improve. You probably have 150 right away. How you can improve it? Like, if we could just put this in a play, there's going to be money made, and there's going to be this or that, right?
Well, that's the problem. The government here is very, very. How can I say? It's a little bit of a mayhem here. The government, they don't know how to rule the country. They don't know how to run the country. They're a little bit skeptical about everything.
Yeah.
And
I do find that when I talk to people about the government, they're very skeptical about the government, and it's first of all, I think if anybody knows me, like, I don't trust anything like the worst people in the world are politicians, and the
of course.
very worst of the worst people in the world are career politicians. And so that's why everybody always told me I should have been a politician. I was like, well, I'm too honest.
That's the problem here in this country. Like, there is a lot of scope. Actually, this country has, for example, the livestock of the animals here.
Yeah.
One of the best in the world.
I would say so.
Number one for sheep. Have you seen the size of the sheep here?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the size of the sheep?
Well, I was just driving by.
Like, they are humongous,
They're
brother.
a good size. They are very good
They are. Can you believe? You can get 40 kgs of meat from a sheep.
Wow.
That's a lot of meat.
Wow, that's actually enough meat.
Let me just tell you. Let me just tell you that there are two things that right now Mongolia can excel in enormous way. One is the sheep's wool, which now which becomes into these companies take all the wool and they make cashmere out of this,
right.
and they make a lot of money out of this. But now again, China has overtaken this whole project because they send all the raw materials to China, and China ends up manufacturing it and selling it back to UB. That's kind of funny though. But
that's always how it works.
That's how it's working right now.
That's how China does it.
Yeah. So here in Mongolia, people don't want to. Like I told you, they don't want to take the step. They don't want to get outside the comfort zone. They don't want to push themselves to a limit where they be like, shit, I'm gonna do this. They just search the easy way out, and the easy way out is just to take the sheep's wool and just sell it. What do they have to lose? They have nothing. And let me tell you, like, the livestock here, I mean, the biggest sheep in the world is from Syria. Mm-hmm. Number one, the quality, the taste, and the huge sheeps are from Syria. Number two is from Mongolia. In the world. And livestock here in Mongolia is more than 10 times more than the actual number of people in Mongolia. So there's enough livestock to last them for like maybe 2-3 generations.
Right.
But here in Mongolia, they don't see the benefit of, I've seen people who say they're meat suppliers and everything, but there is no proper meat factory here.
Really?
There's no like actually good high class. Yeah, there is no. So people usually what they end up doing is like they end up tying up with some foreign companies who come here. They do the cutting, they do the packing, the cleaning, and they take the meat. And I've seen people like really love Mongolian meat, especially.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something. The food that I've ate here, the quality of meat I've eaten in Mongolia,
it's
has
really
blown
good.
my mind.
Yeah, it is really good. You won't get good seafood here at all, but you'll get really good sheep
meat.
and
I didn't expect.
Chicken. Beef.
I didn't expect to get good seafood here unless it was imported and it costs a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
One thing. So what you're saying is that we could actually. What you're saying is that we could actually go, or maybe like somebody could come and make a foreign investment here, and actually set up here.
Yeah, well, now that's a whole different topic when you talk about foreign investment.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult for foreigners to invest here in this country.
Really?
It is very difficult.
And is that just designed from the government?
Well, they have made it that way. For example, if I want to do an investment, I have to put $100,000 first just to open a company.
Okay.
And once I open this company, so I'm not going to mention people's names, but I know
don't mention any
yeah,
names.
I got few foreigners who have invested in this country who are, even though their business is succeeding, the government comes and just taxes them or tries to get any reason off them and makes them pay hefty amounts of fine. And I know few companies that have just closed down overnight and left because they can't handle. Because what happens is, the one problem here is there is no proper, there's no proper government ruling. Like, so today if I made a contract with you, I'm a Mongolian and you're a foreigner who invested money.
Right.
And today we had a mutual contract, we had a proper written document that's contracted everything. And tomorrow if there's a misunderstanding between both of us, which happens usually in every business.
Every business, it has happened.
There is a minor misunderstanding. So this Mongolian guy can just nullify the contract like it never existed.
Okay, so there's international law, contract law is very difficult here.
Very difficult
here, and there's a lack of bureaucracy to actually regulate it.
Yeah, so there was a big close down in China. China and Russia had closed down major mining corporations. Where Mongolia? When I came here 6 years back, Mongolia Tugruk was 1,200. 1,200 tugruk was $1 before.
Right.
Yeah, now the price is 2,600 tugruk.
I actually seen that.
Why has there been a major sudden? If you've seen 2 years or 3 years back, there was a suddenly major drop in the. There was a hike in the dollar price and a drop in the Mongolian tugruk.
Well, one thing I seen was that like up to 3 years back, for a decade, Mongolia was growing at 17% a year. So something amazing, something unheard of.
Yes,
17% a year, and then it dropped to 1.7% a year for the last 3 years, and now
that's only because of the mining corporations. They actually made a huge deal with China and Russia corporations, and all of a sudden the government changed the rules suddenly, and all the contracts that they made with China was nullified. It didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. So at the end of the day, what happened to the government? What happened to China? What happened to everybody? The China, you know what they did? They just closed the companies and they put a strike. They're like, we're not going to work.
Yeah, well, that's what.
And because of that, how many Mongolians got, unemployed? And there was so much unemployment around the country. They had even the degrees and they couldn't get even good jobs.
Right.
Everything went into.
So that's when I talk about people like, and they say, the economy was good up to like 3 years ago. And that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, before 3-4 years ago, I mean, like it was hiking up because, come on, the dollar price was 1,200 tugruk. Now it's like 2,600.
Well, one thing I noticed is that during when the whole world was suffering, I looked at Mongolia's government. I mean, Mongolia's economy was actually growing.
Yeah, it was because think about it. Foreign investments were pouring in like water.
Yeah.
So I know people who came from Europe and there are 2-3 buildings here actually in Zessen that have been invested by people who have come from Germany.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, this doesn't usually happen. Why? Because China has taken over the whole companies also. Right. I mean, like think about it. Chinese people. If I have a land. And I would go to a Mongolian builder and I would be like, okay, how much would it take you? Say, for example, he says 100 million, just an example.
Right.
He says it takes me 100 million, it's going to take me 6 months time and I can give you this much percentage, this much share. But if you go to a Chinese company, he's going to tell you, I'm going to finish in half the time, I'm going to take only 60 or 70 million, I'm going to give you more percentage. So who would you go for? Because Chinese people have one thing that Mongolians don't have, cheap labor.
Yeah.
So what Mongolians did is they did a clever act. They made it harder for Chinese people to enter into Mongolia so that they can cut off the labor of the others. You see Chinese people are flocking here. You go to Shangri-La and you go to Shangri-La residents, 80% of the residents is Chinese.
But I mean, that's good. Well, I always find about 3 reasons why Chinese people flock everywhere. Number one, Chinese people who with means don't want to live in China. Absolutely. And I'm not trying to talk bad about China. My experience in China have been very mixed, but I'll say that like even the people who I talk to who visited the United States from China, that like I would show them around or do some martial arts with them, their biggest thing is like when I say what's the biggest difference between the United States and China, and they say, well, China's dirty, it's so clean here, the air is clean here, I feel like I can breathe here, people aren't watching over my shoulder here. You know, like, and when I say watching over my shoulder, I don't so far mean the government. I mean that, like, people always want to know what you make, how much money you're making in China for the same job they're doing, because there's this, like, weird competition going on where they get very mad at each other. And I found this by a lot of people in education. Like, foreigners would come in and they make a lot more money than the Chinese folks, and then if somebody else complains and so the Chinese company they're working for maybe gives them a little more money, then everyone else wants to know how much money they're making so they can get boosted up. That kind of competition or that attitude of scarcity instead of an attitude of abundance makes people feel really, really weird. Number two is just the idea that you could, like if you go to a place like this or you go to a place like the United States, you kind of feel like you can make it. Or in China, and this is from somebody, from a friend of mine, Christine.
For 1.6 billion people, you don't think you can make it anywhere closer.
Yeah. It's hard not to have an attitude of scarcity when
in China it's already been there, done that.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, because even people who create their own businesses, they still have to deal with a government on a high level. Where in the United States, like we do stuff on our own independently. The government doesn't care what we do. Matter of fact, the government just cares that we pay our taxes and don't blow up anything. I mean, I'm serious. Like, as long as we're not being weird, the government doesn't care. And so, I just wanted to think. So I know why Chinese people flock. If you have means, people flock. You know, if you're in that situation, just that there's so many people, you're gonna flock. I just find it interesting that what people mostly say in the world, when you talk in the United States, they say the bureaucracy, like having these government controls and things is what slows down everything. But what you're actually saying is that having the government controls here are the things that the lack of government control here are the things that really hurt.
They're very inexperienced people. I'm not saying in terms of because I have better knowledge. I'm just saying in terms of they could do better, because I have few friends who are in the government also, and believe me when I tell you, like, I've seen this country has a lot of potential, okay? Because it's just starting up, you know. It's like, for example, you're talking about China and Mongolia. Like, very clear example is in China, they've already baked the cake, they have cut it, they've eaten it, only the crumbs are left over.
Exactly.
But in Mongolia, they haven't started baking it.
Not only haven't started baking it, they just started gathering the ingredients. Like, I come here, and one of the things that I was talking about is like, I was a foreigner visiting Mongolia, right?
It was so simple, right? Even my friend was like, there's no Taiwanese food here, and she wanted to open a Taiwanese restaurant.
Yeah.
Like that. There is.
We talked to her on our podcast.
There are so many. Yeah, there's so many other people and so many other cuisines. And one thing I like about Mongolia, they're very enthusiastic to try something new.
Yes.
They're fed up of the same old things. You know what I mean?
Salsa dancing.
Oh no, we go to a place. There's salsa dancing, and I see like highly trained salsa dancing, right? I mean, it's
the whole group.
Yeah,
the whole club. Man.
Yeah, it looked like like you got served.
So you guys have to know that one history about salsa. Ehab, you know Ehab, right?
Yeah.
So Ehab was the guy who started salsa back in the days.
Yeah, that
was 10 years back. Can you believe it?
That was something
I was here at times.
We were actually gonna feature Ehab on one of our podcasts, but he couldn't come, or he didn't show up. But that was the thing I wanted to talk to him about was bring salsa to Mongolia. Like, here's the thing though. Like, I walk around Mongolia, right? You know what's not here? And it's something like my culture's food isn't here at all.
What?
Caribbean food. So like.
See, Caribbean food is more of seafood, right?
No. Caribbean food is seafood, but when it went to the United States, people who don't have seafood, it was more like, you know, like you can make gumbo with chicken or beef or anything.
But the problem here is you have 1.2 million people staying in the city. Out of 1.2 million, how many are middle class, upper middle class, and high class? Mm-hmm. That is a big problem. When it comes to that, again, it comes to whether people are more into eating outside or eating at home. Then it again divides into people who are like more of, like, for example, you get these towers here. Yeah. They're all working class people. So right. they don't have time to go home and eat lunch and come back. They're just going to nibble anything. And they have a price range of maybe 5,000 tugruk to around 12,000 tugruk for a lunch meal.
Exactly.
Yeah, so all these criteria play a very big role in the industry of even food industry.
What you have to do though with that criteria is you have to say, okay, you have to make your food and deliver it for that price point to your market.
Yeah. Because delivery also is another big problem here. Because first comes the traffic, second it's only summer, so you feel like it's possible to deliver. But once you start hitting winter, my friend, you'll be like, oh my god, it's impossible.
No, I mean delivery of your product. So this is what I mean when I say delivery of your product. Not sending it to anyone. But I mean, like, if I have something that I want to sell to people, right? I have to understand the market. And the market dictates exactly how much it costs.
Right.
So if only a certain amount of people can afford something, I have to have something at that price point for people.
Do you know 1 kg of chicken here is how much? It's around 14 to 16,000 tugruk.
Yeah, you don't use chicken.
1 kg of chicken is like almost.
How much is a kg of sheep?
A sheep is it's a little cheaper than chicken. It's 11,000 is like for a kg of beef. A kg of beef is like 11,000. So sheep is cheaper than chicken. You can because 90% of the chicken is imported from China.
No, but the thing I'm saying is that you have food. You alter your recipe. If I was gonna put a restaurant here, my family was in a restaurant business before. You alter your recipe for where you are and you put it out because that's what you have to do. But that is what I think people are missing. Is that the idea that it's going to be hard and you just work it until it's done, you know?
Whole conversation.
Man, so this is a great conversation we're having, but we're gonna have to put a hold on it.
Yeah, why not, dude?
We're gonna have to put a hold on it. We're gonna order some food.
Yeah, let's do that.
Then I'm gonna talk about some Mongolian food, which You don't eat too much of?
No, I don't eat too much of it. I've tried every single thing.
So what food do you eat the most of, though?
So you're a red button. And then you see the toggle right next to the red button on the side of the device. No, on the side of the red button.
Yeah.
Like where
Where's the
now pull
button?
that down till it turns off.
Press it.
Just conserve energy.
You chose, guys?
Yes, of
Hold
course I chose.
Down and hold until it says goodbye. Does it say goodbye?
Goodbye. See you. Yeah, leave it alone.
Does it say
So,
Hold
so,
the pictures in the picture.
so, Scott,